Our next speaker is Sola.
Thank you. And it's wonderful to be here. Both of my parents, as well as a few siblings and many friends, attended this fine university, and I have, on occasion, sat in on philosophy and business classes, and so it was nice to be a student here a bit without the student loans. That's always nice. So I'm here to talk about self-driving vehicles, particularly neural self-driving vehicles. But before I get into that, sort of a broader portrait. All of your favorite car companies, as well as a few companies that you've probably never heard of, are all interested in autonomous vehicles and self-driving cars. And the question is why? What is the benefit that you actually get from these autonomous vehicles? And as you have these conversations, three things typically come up. So one is safety. I don't have to stress, Michael spoke a bit about the safety hazards, as did Norm, of driving on the road at 90 miles an hour. And Texas does lead in vehicle fatalities, with the Houston area having quite a few every year. And so I'm sure most of you who drive here in the city understand exactly why safety is paramount. Accessibility, so getting around, the folks who may not have the access to getting from point A to point B due to restrictions or impairments will be able to do so with this. And the last is convenience. So the folks who maybe have no impairments but still need to get around will be able to do so as well. So if you think about the teenagers, the elderly, they will be able to get around from point A to point B as well. And all of that is great. And we are very large fans of the benefits that self-driving cars can bring. But our co-founders were early at Waymo, and they had been there for a long time. And Dr. Gupta, when she comes up, mentioned something that really sort of struck a chord with them, which is autonomous cars are great, but they're probably a little bit away, right? Like every car maker and the folks that you've never heard of who are working on self-driving cars have said that they were going to launch a vehicle, and then that date has been pushed back just a little bit every year, right? And so that's a bit of a challenge. And they said, you know what, we think that we can make self-driving cars happen, and we can make them happen really soon. And as they thought about what they could do, they decided that they would take on a completely different market, right? And so they built this cute little bad boy here, which is a driverless, passengerless, last mile delivery vehicle. So it is unmanned, and it will bring your favorite items to you. We have partnerships with Kroger, Walmart, and Domino's to bring your grocery as well as your hot food, hot pizza, to your curb for you to unload. So why this, right? Like there are a ton of different potential autonomous applications, but our co-founders decided to look at this. And there's a few reasons. So congestion is a major reason. If you think, and this particularly applies to Houston, we can talk a little bit more about why. If you think about the amount of time that you spend on the road that Michael mentioned, 60 minutes every day, and then spending another 10 or 15 minutes to get to the grocery store or to pick up pizza, we are really looking to, one, reduce congestion by not having you spend that 10 to 15 minutes on the road, but also by batching. So everyone is going to the grocery store, everyone's looking for a parking spot, and what we want to do is say, you know what, why don't all three of you stay home, and we will bring all of your groceries in these separate compartments. Environmental is the reason why I think I got an invitation. And that is because these are self-driving electric vehicles, which from the outset really made a lot of sense. Norm talked about how much energy prices for electric vehicles has decreased. And when you have a really massive fleet, those differences and that CapEx reduction actually means quite a bit for the bottom line. And the last thing is local commerce. So I mentioned the really large national and international partners that we have today, but ultimately the goal is to build a platform where anyone who wants to deliver anything can essentially call a Neuro vehicle, load the vehicle up, and have that vehicle drive to their customer. So for us, we really are looking at things in a different way and looking to establish and essentially upend the model of how people run errands today. So it's also a really big business opportunity. I think we've heard a few people say we are not federally funded. We are essentially not looking for any money from the government. The reason why this is so fascinating for us is because if you look at the number of, or the percentage of miles that people spend on the road today, 15% is generally that commutes, probably a little bit larger for those commuting in Houston, but 43% is running those errands. That's the grocery store, it's the post office, the florist, it's the dry cleaners. A lot of what we do in our vehicles is actually going to pick something up, and that is a massive opportunity for us to essentially take that off of your hands and provide more convenience in your lives. And so as we think about what we're really looking at in this space, we've got grocery and food. We're also looking at retail, local services like the florist and the dry cleaner, as well as prescriptions. And we think that there are numerous possibilities that don't currently exist because really this model would be very new. So take the example of a farmer's market in a Neurobot, or even a vending machine that could provide some of your last minute needs, and potentially a whole new ice cream truck, right? So there's quite a few things that we could do with this once we get it on the road. And so that's sort of at a high level, but I don't want this to be high level. This is very real. It is very real right now. We are operating in Houston right now. And so I just want to talk a bit about the operations that we currently have in Houston and what we're doing and what to expect over the next few months. So we are currently operating in 6 zip codes across the Houston area, West University, Southside Place, Bel Air, a little bit of the Heights, and we operate from 3 different Krogers, and we are looking to launch our partnerships with Walmart and Domino's here over the next few weeks. And for us, that next phase not only includes the new partners that we've announced, but partners that we have not announced, expanding with the partners that we have currently, and introducing R2, which is our second version of the robot. We're not necessarily the most creative outside of building the autonomy software. So we had R1, which launched in Scottsdale and has done thousands of deliveries. We are building, and R2 is now here in Houston, and we'll be doing deliveries in the next few weeks. And that is it. I believe there will be time for questions after this.
Right. Okay, great.